Well, hi everyone, and welcome to the first official Our Planet Live session. I am Vane, your moderator for today's session with our founders, Charles and Ash. We are really excited to kick off these conversations because we're bringing you a variety from fire takes on the market and updates, as well as education series that are tied to our planet's values and to our founders coming on live. And today's a really special one because we love to hear our founders riffing off and just talking like if they're in their one-on-one meeting. And today specifically, we're going to be talking about brand building. So Ash, Charles, welcome.
Thank you. So excited for you to be guest host moderator for Our Planet Live. Much needed.
Oh my God, it's an honor. Okay, so before we dive in on today's topic, Chelsea, you came back from maternity leave. So how does it feel to be fully back? Although I know you had like your pulse on all things Our Planet, even during your away
I was
time.
behind the scenes. I was annoying Ash, calling
She's
her,
back. She's
texting, jumping on Discord and Twitter, creepily stalking everyone. No, it feels really, really good to be back. I'm very, very happy to be back. It's been wonderful. It's been about a week and change. Wanted to spend the first 2 weeks really reconnecting with the community, with our team, with some awesome partners that we're excited to share a little bit more about today, and just get us into gear for an amazing 2023. We've got major goals. We've got a hustle to make them happen. So I'm super excited to be back. There might be some screaming babies in the background from time to time, but that's life. And I know we're all here committed to showing up the way that we can authentically, and we're just excited to build. So I'm happy to be here. I've loved the conversations with the team and the community. Actually, Vanessa and I have never gotten to have a deep one-on-one, and we got to do this week, which was really wonderful. I'm so excited to be working with you more. So yeah, happy to be back. Excited to build. Let's do this.
Yes. So like, what are you excited most to dig into? Like, what was the one thing? I mean, I know there's a lot.
So much. We'll dig into the pillars for the upcoming year. But I think for me, marketing, quote unquote, marketing in Web 2 and brand building in Web 2 there are overlaps and similarities to Web 3, and at the heart, and the way that I like to market anyway, is really with the community as the soul, and empowered community, and then building the brand hand in hand with our holders. And that's what attracted me to, besides being able to work with Ash and Geeta for the rest of our lives. That's what attracted me to this space. And so, yeah, I would just say building the community, getting to know more people here, and then bringing our dreams to life. I got to do that at Bumble, whether it was month-long, fully experiential AR, VR experiences, or popping up across the world in Munich or India or insert location XYZ. And I'm just excited to bring Our Planet to more of the world together.
Yeah, we are excited. Handing over the mic to Ash. Currently, we are in a bear market, and well, it's a difficult market. So what would you say has been fueling you in like moving forward and making moves? I know you can't really share some of the upcoming initiatives just yet, but we'd love to know what's been motivating you and what you are most excited about Our Planet's roadmap, as well as any lessons there as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, it was a bear market before we dropped Our Planet and Our Planet NFT. So I think we knew what we were going into, but no one has a crystal ball. And to the extent of how much capital is going to leave the space, how many people are going to be turned off from interacting with NFTs or other digital assets or cryptocurrencies for what amount of time, pair that with macro events in the world, which do have a correlation, whether we like it or not, it does. And so I think we knew what we were getting into from day one, and made a deep commitment that we are a team that knows how to navigate and to pivot, and at least try our best to make thoughtful and insightful decisions on just where we spend our money, where do we get the loudest, where do we want to try and amplify, and at the right time without being tone deaf. And so I mean, looking back at since we minted end of October, you have November, December, we're in January, so we're kind of in month 3. I'm still just as optimistic about what this can build. Honestly, we always said from the beginning it was about tokens being more and standing for more, and that's across utility, the communities behind it, the brand and IP that stands behind it, and that tokens can evolve, as far as what they can actually include in some of these smart contracts. And that still North Star has not changed at all. So irrespective of what's going on with floor prices, with max exodus out of the market, our ambitions are still the same. I think it's just reflecting a little bit on how the market has actually changed and what it's going to take to actually move the needle. And for that, there's onboarding. It needs to hit mass adoption. We have to reignite people's interest in this space. I'm not going to front run too much of what I think we're going to talk about, but there does need to be some massive evolution that needs to happen. That's my buzzword for the month of January. I keep saying it, but it's a reality that I don't think we can be blind to or assume we're back to where we were in any kind of an environment a year ago. It's not going to happen. And so kind of us, the community, other founders and stuff, I think need to start putting our heads together. And if we can be a thought leader in that space and pushing some uncomfortable conversations forward, we're happy to do that. But have a strong conviction in where this can go, and that still holds. And then the second is, had to spend a lot of time in November and December, and even now, self-reflecting, honestly, of what we've done well and what we haven't done well. And this community has been so great. I hate even calling it FUD. It's not FUD. It's constructive feedback. And I think it's a testament to who has been attracted to our planet from the get-go when they're telling us your communications suck, or actually you need to get in Discord. I take it to heart. We truly do, and have been taking note of the, feedback from everyone on just what we could do better, and really trying to sit with that and say, is that a people problem? Is that a process problem? Or is it a skills problem? Excuse me. And so we know our comms has not been the greatest, and looking to make some massive improvements at Riverside, and this and some other tactics that we're taking will greatly improve that. Community engagement and understanding on exactly what this is. We're an ambitious team. We knew that. We have so many things that we want to do that sometimes that can get muddled, and people don't necessarily fully understand, what does this mean? What does this mean for me? Where's my role in this, and what value does it bring? And so really want to reassure everybody, we have a deep commitment to clearing this up for everybody. This year, the feedback has been noted. We are making some team adjustments, which we will talk about in a second, some additional hires that we're quite excited about that we think will fill some key gaps for us. And then 2, really refining what we need to do better. And so excited to roll that out, but please keep the feedback coming. There are direct lines to me. I've done a number of one-on-one calls with a number of folks just to hear it, loud and clear. And it is done with nothing but love from everyone in this community. So really appreciative of that. But excited to show you that we've listened and that we will make some of these improvements.
Progress and perfection.
Yeah. And also it's just like looking at how it was like at the end of October, the mint, and it's felt a lot longer, but it's just been not that long. Okay. So let's get into the nitty gritty of it. We've seen a lot of change, and you were talking about that, Ash, in the space, particularly so in the last 6 months. And this has made a lot of projects and businesses truly rethink their strategies, how they operate, and how they position themselves as well. So what are some key takeaways based on where the NFT space has been at and where you think it's headed?
Chuck, do you want me to go first and maybe back?
Why don't you take through the evolution, and I can talk a little bit about some of the macro changes from a FTX celebrities being sued, lack of trust,
all that fun. Yeah. So I spent a number of days in Miami, not even at parties, but actually at the crypto conferences, the digital asset conferences, to see where is this shifting. And this is outside of NFT brands that were maybe promoting their projects on stage, which is a big component of some of those conferences, and just trying to get a read on where sentiment's shifting. And I can tell you, there is a massive amount of capital being invested into this space, into blockchain technology and into digital assets as a whole. It's just going to look different, I think, than what we were necessarily used to. 6 months ago, 7 months ago, we had this story, we had this narrative of we were on track for 85 million, digital wallets opening. The metaverse was going to be X trillion dollars by 2027. There's just a lot of grandiose statements, which I still believe, but they're taking longer, and there's hurdles and there's barriers to entry. And a lot of that has to do with, honestly, some macro factors that are just not helping, lack of trust, scams, lack of regulation, lack of legislation. And our friends, I have a bigger belief that our friends have all heard now about NFTs. 2022 did such a big thing in mainstream media where it has put it on the map with everybody. NFTs it's not necessarily our parents knowing, but our peer groups, they at least understand, or they have seen those 8 pictures, or they understand that digital art is a thing. So whether they actually called it an NFT and fully understand, they at least know that this is a sector and that this is a space and that people were making money here. But I think the narratives have just been wrong, about what the NFT space is in general. They were money-making schemes. It was never about the communities, never about real intrinsic value. And these were just speculative assets that if you were late to the game, you felt like you already missed it. And so anybody looking at it now, I don't see a lot of big reasons to compel them to come in with the current narrative. And so I think when I talk about evolution, it's not that there's not amazing prominent projects really pushing the envelope here or doing something innovative. I think we just need to change how we're talking about this, from everything from, our culture on trading, expectations on where a floor price or something should be for money pumps. Now, that's still a component of this, but to attract some new members, which I think needs to be at the forefront of all of the founders and project leaders' minds right now, is this will remain in a cul-de-sac of sharing and selling and trading with our peers until we can find a way to appeal to that next audience. And the thing that concerned me the most about the last 6 months is they've already heard about it and are still not compelled. So we need to change the value proposition, for everybody to what is here, what is so amazing about this that can compel somebody to join. And I think if we can target markets where they already do and have a digital presence, like loyalty programs, like point systems, like memberships, like subscriptions, that doesn't feel as foreign. That's actually what Starbucks, I think, did really well. We don't need to talk about that's old news, but they found a way to Trojan horse a consumer audience without them knowing. Same thing with Reddit, that they were buying into NFTs. And so I think a level of innovation and evolution needs to happen right now. And then us as communities need to be able to rethink collectively of just how are we talking about this sector as a whole, and that there's value behind some of these tokens, these memberships, these communities that go beyond trading and selling, because that only works for one subsect of this mass market. And so that's just been on my thought process a lot. So still very optimistic, but a big change does need to happen. Chelsea? Ash and
I and broader team have been talking a lot about some of the parallels to online dating, which I laugh about, but it's true. When online, for example, when I started at Bumble, there were just a handful of us in a little apartment, and at that point in time, there was a huge stigma around online dating. It was scary. You could get catfished. No one knew who they were really connecting with. People were being murdered. It was terrible. It was awful. It was really bad. But what we learned through the process of building the brand and the community is that there needed to be a trusted brand that people felt safe and felt excited to be a part of in order to overcome some of that stigma. Now 1 in 3 people actually meet their partners online, and those couples last longer than people that meet traditionally. But all that to say, there's been a massive amount of trust that has been lost from a mass consumer adoption perspective in the last year. All they have heard about is FTX, $10 billion stolen, and Jimmy Fallon's getting sued. Celebrities are getting sued for their endorsements. And so, like Ash mentioned, there's a massive amount of trust that needs to be built. And that comes from communities like ours that are oriented around greater change, greater purpose for the planet and the people who live here. And so that's what keeps us getting up in the mornings and keeps us excited to connect with the community and keep building, because there is still massive opportunity, like Ash said, but the game has changed and there's regulation coming. Absolutely. And so we need to be at the forefront of that, both from a brand perspective and from a business perspective, across our planet, of course. And we'll talk a little bit about our labs as well this morning. But did that answer your question, Vanessa?
Yeah, it definitely did. And I think to what you're saying, there's been a lot of buzzwords, and that it seems a little bit like marketing gimmicks as well, like tokens, NFTs, communities, utility. And like you said, it's been tainted, and even tainted to the community within the Web3 space. So what's important to double down on during these times to not only stay relevant, but to stand out and be authentic? You said trust. Is there anything else you feel that is important too?
This adoption perspective, of course, nomenclature is going to need to change. We're not going to call tokens tokens. We're not going to call, some of this nomenclature that we use that is in some ways alienating to the larger consumer base is going to need to evolve, which is a good thing. There certainly needs to be brand extensions that nest tokens, and we'll talk about this too, that nest tokens within them that don't feel like a purchase of a token, that feel like a purchase of something else that you are excited about, that's branded as a mainstream consumer, quote unquote, that still has a token nested, but allows as an entry point, because we're used to going to the store and buying a bottle of wine or a jacket or insert example XYZ, or we're used to the loyalty points from airlines and using those to make purchases or book new travel, whatever. So it just is going to need an evolution. And I think this team is well positioned to be at the forefront of that. And this community, we want to be able to take advantage of that as we build together.
So we know that things are not or won't return to like the golden age of NFTs, that craze that we had 2021 and 2022. So how is this train of thought embedded in what our planet is building?
Yeah, I can make one comment on that. People don't like I say that. It's, people are waiting for this bull run. Call it a bull run. It will not go at the same magnitude that it once did as far as a growth rate. My belief in perception, but rooted in some education and research. I just think the concepts of jumping in and hoping and praying that some of these projects get to the moon and that everybody collectively in this industry, in this space, will be making money together doesn't work. Somebody else is footing your bill, right? And so I think it's important to be excited, but watch and be cautiously optimistic about price volatility. And I know we wanted to spend a lot of time in that in November with our Learn Good Shit Week, just for people to make better education choices. It is fantastic if you have made the right bet on a couple of these projects. You did your research and it paid off. I love that for anyone and everyone. But I think it's just better equipping yourselves, because these are speculative assets, because these are speculative projects, and the rules are changing. I just, just want to caution, just people just on spending their money wisely. And I think too, value perceptions need to change a bit. Also going with like the evolution concept. Floor price is floor price, which is great. It's important, but it's also not the only metric, right? So floor price to you today, going up by 50% in a couple of weeks and trying to onboard the next person to hopefully match that market price, they now have a different perception of value and it is at a higher premium. And so knowing what does the project actually give me at the end of the day? Is there some inherent value that, okay, it might be monetary, but it's almost reimagining. I'm going to say your buzzword, Vanessa. I'm going to say utility. There's different types, but there's different types, and projects like InPeak and Zen Academy and others are trying to reevaluate what can I give them, and thought leadership and education resources, because we are in digital communities around the world. It's hard to ship products to absolutely everybody. It's hard to kind of meet everybody's needs. but those concepts of, can I reimagine what an actual value proposition is for this project, that I feel good about my $100, my $1,000, whatever. Ryan Carson said it the other day. He's like, I don't think any NFT should be $1,000. I don't entirely disagree with him. I think some of our goals should be about a really strong balancing act between what we can deliver as project founders and true value to everybody, those being priced appropriately, and that people also get inherently so much more, out of that, in value, in community growth, in empowerment, all of these things, and that they're at least set up with the tools, to grow and create their own brands, their own businesses, their own other things. And so that's just been at our forefront versus it feeling like a money suck and a money pit.
And yeah, Ash, talk a little bit about sustainable business models. I mean, we've both built them many times. I think in this last year and this year looking forward, a lot of projects are going to run out of steam because they don't know how to build a scalable business model. Will you talk a little bit about that? Yeah,
again, just to be the party pooper on morning. But you're seeing it, whether people are admitting it or not. There are layoffs. This happens. This is a bear market. It is a recession style market where projects will run out of funding. Free meta didn't help a lot of people unless you were in excess of millions of dollars to be able to have a run rate that can sustain you for a couple of years. I think, again, Zen Academy, he's such a good partner, so I can talk about Zeneca. But when you reevaluate what a revenue model looks like, the creator royalty model works for some projects, especially if they're based on art and supply and demand and different kind of rarity. That's fine. But when you're trying to be an operational business, a utility-based token, that can become very difficult. And it's put a number of founders and projects on a hamster wheel. Or the other analogy I like to use is an incline treadmill, where you're constantly trying to keep up, to keep everyone happy, to keep your lights on, to keep your operational, business going, to stay innovative. And that gets very difficult to do unless you have some other revenue lines. And so a couple of the projects that we're partnered with, they're expanding, doing consultancy, doing, agency work and other things where they're lending their expertise to other projects. Sometimes that's frowned upon, but, there's a reality that we have to diversify away from the model that has already been done, which is, again, why I think some projects are reevaluating their own utility, their own value proposition to price accordingly. And then I think you'll see groups like InPeaks moving to soulbound tokens and subscription models. I think we will see more and more of these innovative models because, again, if you want this to be a project in 2 years, they're either going to drop something subsequent to be able to pay their bills, like a second collection, which you are paying for as the holder at the end of the day, or they have to come up with something else. But it's the reality. I think we're going to see some consolidation and some projects merging. We've already seen a couple happening in the space.
Yeah. And I think it can be really easy to simply do what has worked before. Like, it's worked before. There's all these blue chip, but that doesn't really ensure that's going to work with the current market conditions and where the technology is truly headed. So how is Our Planet future-proofing both its brand and IP and even beyond that?
You're building the moat, baby. I think there are three key things that we want to talk about in terms of building both the moat and diversifying revenue streams. The first one is brand building and IP growth. The second is education and comms. And the third, and arguably the most critical for this group, is our community growth. So I'll tackle brand building and IP growth and then hand it over to Ash for education and comms. I think from a brand perspective, like Ash mentioned, we've heard a lot of feedback around what exactly are we building and how are we articulating that in a way that everyone can understand and take and evangelize. So one thing that we're sprinting on, hit the ground running with Vanessa, Ryan, Ash last week is a redo on our brand book, reimagining how we articulate, what we look like, what are some tactical applications for you as holders to be able to think about the future monetization of your own PFPs, given that you hold the rights, licensing, et cetera. And that's going to roll out in the next 2 weeks with updated everything from comms to typography, fonts, color palette, et cetera, so that anyone can expand on the IP and the brand from Our Planet perspective. And the second thing that we're super excited about, we're officially working with the group that does 3D and animations for Other Side. So we're bringing our PFPs to life and putting together an amazing trailer for this upcoming next storyline with a hugely talented group of individuals. And we'll actually be running a competition for one of our community members to get to bring their PFP to life from a 2D to 3D perspective. So excited to share the details on that in these coming days.
This is exciting. Just in case anybody's not catching it.
Hot alpha here. And I think we've mentioned that we brought on RDL from Pixel Vaults from a storytelling and writing perspective. So really adding fuel to the fire on how our planet comes to life in this upcoming story around the energy wars, which we're very excited to tell you all. And I think really importantly, revenue generating brand partnerships. So we talked a little bit about FTX and celebrities getting sued left and right this last year. That actually has slowed down a partnership pipeline. And we're lucky to have some really great relationships here. But the reality is that, some brands that were rushing into the space before are no longer because of FTX and fears around celebrity endorsements, etc. That said, we're feeling lucky to be in good spirits, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, for some upcoming partnerships that we've been working on behind the scenes. And always laugh with this team also because usually we wouldn't share that until it's buttoned up, shipped, and ready to get delivered to people. But we will share more detail on the brand partnership as we find the right source for this one. We'll probably have an update in the upcoming week, and we want you all to be part of developing that partnership. So we'll be very open and transparent about how we're building it, and exciting to get more our planet branded items. I'm just going to say broadly products into not only the community's hands, but into Web2 community's hands who are mission aligned from a product purpose perspective. Like Ash mentioned, Trojan horse of bringing a natural product that people are already really used to engaging with purchasing behaviors around, who don't love tokens or are scared of the NFT space. So this is a bridge for us to reach new people in a different and creative way. And you'll see us continue to do that through different types of partnerships throughout the year. Ideally, those that have great margins and can provide returns to the community in a meaningful way.
Oh my God. I just want to say, I'm like so excited for everything that's coming up.
It's going to be very fun.
Chelsea, can you maybe just talk about where the licensing maybe comes in play for our holders?
Absolutely. So you as holders hold the rights for licensing. You get to own a character in this world that we're building together, and own a character that might show up, in a animated comic book or insert example XYZ, or ideally, I'd love us to be on Netflix next year. So you have the licensing rights for, roll your eyes all you want, Ash. We've done it before. You hold the rights to that. So we want to equip you with what you need to know in terms of both licensing. We'll bring in some experts so that you understand what that means and how you can profit off of that. And also how you can build the brand around your PFP so that you have other and new earning opportunities, like as a character, but yes, also as a creator. I think what's so special about this space, and same thing with AI tools, which I'm not going to riff on, Ash, but if anybody wants to talk about AI, I will go in a corner and talk to myself about it. The technology and advancements in the last year give everyone the opportunity to be creators using things like ChatGPT, DALL-E, ton of other tools that we'll share with everyone from an AI perspective. So you can actually invest, if you want to, time in building out the character and storyline for your own PFP, and we'll give you tools to help you do that. And so, yeah, we're very excited. You will, one last time, you own the rights for licensing for your PFPs as the brand grows, as we expand to different types of product lines. You'll benefit from that a ton of different ways, but especially from licensing. Ash, did I hit it on the head enough times? Okay.
No, that's perfect. Yeah. No, that's perfect. And it's one thing to note, we did see some commentary, I think, in the Discord of just where was the brand, vision in statements and just, wanting to be this prominent, I think, in the space as a standalone brand of Our Planet is really twofold as to why this is coming up so heavily now. One, there was just a lot of confusion, I think, between the parent company, Our Labs, and Our Planet, which I will touch on here at the end to make sure that it's clear. But because of that communication gap and people not necessarily knowing and understanding where value resides, this is one we wanted to definitely hit on the head over and over. I think we were always intentional with our art, with our potential in storylines, with lore and where this could go, with PFP upgrades, that this has always been an intention. We were missing a key piece of also this talent to see this on a day-to-day basis, which was Chelsea. As much as I'd love to toot my own horn, oh my God, that makes me sound so old. Toot my own horn, that is not my power alley. Investments and financial expertise is. And so we have the right butts and the right seats and the right talent partners coming on board to really make this an amazing brand in the space and one to be reckoned with. So very excited, but that's the reason for the shift or why you're hearing more about it now. The second big pillar, Chelsea, maybe I'll just jump in, is to education. So we started leaning on this a little early, right after drop. So in Learn Good Shit, we brought on an ex-IRS expert to talk about crypto and NFT taxes and just how that works. Yes, in US jurisdictions, but that is not the end. We wanted to test that out with you as a community to see, do people find value, in educational content? And the answer is yes, I think overwhelmingly. And this is going to be in a variety of topics that we think, as Vanessa outlined, that are core to our mission, our vision, and some of our key pillars. And so in areas of sustainability, financial inclusion, and then mental wellness, we will cross the gambit and have been in deep talks with a number of thought leaders, experts, and others in the space that if we can turn on a really hefty, cadence of this content, we want to be able to bring that to you. There was some, commentary on why Riverside, why is this free? Our initial thinking is a lot of education should be free, but tools and products are not. Those are a premium. So we will look and strive to find that right balance where, we want a number of the Web3 community to benefit from what Our Planet as a community finds, dear and near to our hearts, that they can see that and that, there is value to be derived here. And that could be, one of the vessels and avenues to direct and attract them, honestly, to Our Planet versus any other kind of just marketing gimmicks or you need to check us out for XYZ reasons. So it's definitely to kind of triangulate all angles to appeal to more people. And Riverside, which is the platform that some of you are on, also checking out Twitter. I just want to address, we are not abandoning any medium that we're currently in, which is Discord, which is Twitter, which is actually YouTube, and a couple of others. We have a large, vast audience. We like to think of everybody that seems to be attracted to Our Planet in some way as a conscious hustler. It's kind of a two-parter even in that name, that they care about the planet, the people that are here. If given the choice, they make conscious choices just to be a decent human being and a good person or have better business practices. But we're in crypto, we're in NFTs, we are business builders. I think all of us collectively are here to start a new career or to be at the leading edge of something. And so it is short, it is snippy, it is sound bites. And so for that reason, we wanted to be on a platform that has editable tools, I think, to both cut down some of our key content and distribute it everywhere. The problems with Discord or just a Twitter space, even though it had recording functions, is we felt we were constantly in a cul-de-sac talking to small groups, and it was really hard to necessarily capture everything that might be said. And now it will be edited, cut down, handed to you. And if you miss it, because we do have a global audience, you can go back and listen and not miss a beat, or you can take pieces of this to help share, with others if it's trying to get a point across. And so our bigger goal was to try and communicate better with all of you and do it in a means that is easily shareable, and that we as a group can start to amplify. If there is something that is resonating here or something you want to go back to ask a question on, it's easy for you versus having to hunt down in, quite frankly, Discord. So there is no intention to do anything with any of these other platforms outside of get our message out there bigger and louder and easier to follow. Chelsea?
I was just going to say, if you give Ash and I a mic, we'll talk for 40 minutes beyond what we were meant to, like we're doing right now.
So, I know, I'll hurry up. Yeah.
No, our ability to cut, slice, and dice and put on more channels to reach more people, to build the brand that benefits us as a community and us as holders is the ultimate goal here. So we're excited to test it out. We'll be welcoming people's feedback. Want to know what you think of this. We love it so far. Thank you, Vanessa. Yeah. But we'll, of course, be open to feedback as well.
Perfect. And then the last one, as far as like pillars, this is community and community growth. This one I think is by far the most inherent, and got a lot of feedback, did a number of one-on-one calls right now of some members feeling abandoned. And so for that, I deeply apologize. That's on me. For not necessarily having the stronger, that's okay. The strong presence that I had previously, it was just striking the right balance between building a business and product lines and everything that we have ambitions to do, but no project is worth anything unless the community is behind you. And so we'll make great efforts to improve that. Part of that equation is hiring, I think, some of the key people to be community leads and ambassadors for us to help enhance this growth. And so we have made a key hire. I'm not going to say it today, but this has been penned, it has been signed and been working in the background, and we will be releasing that next week. But this is done as a response, to a lot of the feedback and the concerns. We will put the right people, in there to help ensure that you're getting everything that you need from us, and then have those direct lines, and that communication is heard and feedback is heard, and that you guys are by far the first priority on everything. Chelsea, you maybe want to take some of the ambassadorship, merch, all of that stuff? Sure.
We will. We've been delayed in our merch previews as well because I hate everything. No, because it needs to be excellent, and so we're excited to share with y'all the latest in this upcoming week or two. Apologize for the delay on that as well, but we're very, very excited to reveal the merch. It's on fire. It's very, very cool. And that's something that will not only be a benefit to the community, but again, as we're thinking about reaching to Web 2 communities that are or mass adoption that are used to buying a hoodie or a beanie or XYZ, that'll be a way for us to connect with larger communities and help us grow as well. We, as a part of this role also that Ash mentioned and the hire that we're very excited about, you all know them. They have been hustling for our planet since day one. They will be helping us internally as we think about this ambassador program and rolling it out and helping everyone become an advocate for our planet and ensuring that we're reaching everyone that we need to and that we're also taking care of everyone that we need to from a community perspective. So very excited to partner with this person and very excited to roll out our merch. Mm-hmm. And is there anything else that we wanted to touch on, Ash? Vanessa?
No, I mean, honestly, this is it. This is not the entire mind map. I'll touch on thematic impact tokens and a couple of the other things. It's just for us, when we sat and set a Q1 2023 goal on where do we see we could add the most value to you all as holders, to the project, to the brand, all of those things. It really came down to these three pillars. This is what I think will guide and help and direct our ethos and kind of decision making on a go forward. Is it has to tie to brand building and IP growth. Is it actually driving that inherent value? And we think we have some of those key elements there. Two, the education and communication, being really tight, being really helpful, and that we are creating some badass people, honestly, out there that are equipped to take on this space.
Investors.
It is not fun every single day. And lastly is community growth. I think with meeting with some of the largest, holders, getting feedback from absolutely everybody, and really just emphasizing on replicating amazing advocates and ambassadors, this will move the needle. I have a strong conviction, and so does our team, that this will do what it needs to do in this ever-changing and difficult space. And so that's where we can stay on track for.
Yes, and you will see Ash and I being more active in Discord and on Twitter. We've heard the feedback. We'll be there. Yeah. Self-admittedly terrible at Twitter. We're getting better at these things.
Yes.
Progress.
Perfect. Last thing just to address, because I saw a couple of questions on it, and so I want to make sure that we don't miss it, even though this topic, sorry, Vanessa, is all about brand. where are we on purpose initiatives and thematic impact tokens? We are still on track. I didn't want to deviate this entire call to talk about purpose initiatives and financial instruments and all things regulatory, because I did that enough last year. We will do another space on it, but it is important to know we are going to be the first in this space. They have done tokenization of real estate investments and real estate funds. They're called REITs, REIT, and others. Our purpose partner has been done and has been penned, has been partnered with. It is just a matter of waiting for the right time to press release this. We have equipped ourselves with one of the best legal teams in the Web3 space. They are the primary legal team to Yuga, BAYC, GutterCat, you name it, Coinbase. Although maybe I don't want to talk about Coinbase, their stock price right now, not the best example. But we are doing everything above board. I think you've heard us say that from day one. So our goal is to tokenize impact assets in the real world. They are called RWIAs, our real world impact assets, and bring those on chain. That is done with regulatory in mind, which is also slow. And so it's just, please note that this is still at the forefront. This has not taken all of our focus. Our planet is still of a primary focus for a number of us, but it is happening in the background, and we're very excited to share just what that looks like and the value that that can ultimately bring. But outside of that, we wanted to make it clear our planet also as a standalone, this is secondary and in parallel, to everything that our planet can also be, which is why we wanted to, hit home on some of these another initiatives, these brand buildings, and where we think that there's other value here, because it can be very painful to wait for so long. Web3 and regulatory systems do not line up from a cadence and timing. And from a timing perspective, it is just not fun. This space works too quickly. And so it was really painful to see too many people waiting and expecting for that only. And so we wanted to ensure that we have really rounded out our value proposition to you all. So just touching on that, we're still working on it, and I expect to have some updates this quarter, both on who this purpose partner is, token development, which will be actually released later this year, aiming for Q2. But that still is occurring. And then a number of the supplemental stuff that we're working on with DC and others, we will save for another time. We've kind of talked about that for now, but I think this is everything I had to mention. Vanessa, maybe over to you. If there's anything we missed.
Oh my God, no. I think honestly, just really excited for what's coming up. And like you said, just double downing on our community. There's just so much goodness coming up for our planet. And these sessions, Our Planet Live, are just one of the ways that you can connect to our founders and team and digest information differently, because we know your time and energy are invaluable, and there's always so much information coming at you. So we want to make this impactful and really juicy. So just reminding everyone to spread the love by sharing this on your socials with your friends and family. And then this will also be on YouTube. So if you're catching the replay, hit subscribe, comment, like, do all the other good stuff. But I think we're complete. I don't know if Chels or Ash want to say anything, but I think we're done.
Thank you. Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you, community. Thank you, Ash, for steering the ship. Well, I've been in and out too. This is a team, and we just appreciate all of you. Excited for this year together.